भाई what please फोन करेगा प्लीज बात फोन करेगा फोन करेगा मम्मी ना मम्मी और हाथ डाल
Hello, Ankur.
Hello, sir. You are audible, sir. You are audible, and
Okay.
I can see you.
Okay.
Sir.
Okay. Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir. Sir.
Sunandan Borua join কৰিছে নেকি?
Sir, মই call কৰি আছো তেওঁ ৰ'ব, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. মোৰ মাইকটো মিউট কৰি থৈছিলে।
আচ্ছা।
মাইকটো মিউট আছিলে সেইকাৰণে একো ক'ব পৰা নাই। এয়া অংকুৰক ক'লো আনমিউট কৰি দিয়া। মই ছাৰক আফটাৰনুনটো কওঁ। আনমিউট কৰি দিওঁ। Participants হৈছে 195, sir.
এইটো ভালেই হৈছে 198 দেখিছে যে। খালি এতিয়া বাকী কিজনে ভালকে জইন কৰিলে বাকী
এতিয়া
20 জন মানে তেওঁলোকক কিবা আজি বেলেগ নম্বৰ দিছিল আমাক আমি কৰিব নোৱাৰিলো হয়।
সিটোত মানে লিংকটো গণ্ডগোল হৈছিলে নে সেইটো টেষ্ট লিংক নে কিবা এটা আছিল।
এই কথাটো ভালকে কোৱা নাই মই এইকাৰণে জইন কৰোঁতে দেৰি হৈ গৈছে। তেখেতসকলৰ চাগে দেৰি হৈছে সেইকাৰণে।
সেইকাৰণে দেৰি হৈছে। মই সুনন্দন বৰুৱা ছাৰক কল এটা কৰিলো। তেখেতো বিজি হৈ আছে চোন।
এই ফোন কৰি আছে চাগে।
ফোন কৰিছে চাগে বিজি।
তেখেতসকলৰ মানে অলপ হেৰি হৈ যাব নহয়।
অলপমান সময় ল'ব। সুনন্দন বৰুৱা আহিলে। নন্দন বৰুৱা আহিলে, ফোন কৰি আছে।
বৰুৱা তেখেতসকলক কোৱা হ'লনে?
তাকে কথা পাতিছো মাত্ৰ আহি আছে তেওঁলোক। মেমে কালি বুলি ভাবি আছে ছাৰ, কি ক'ব আৰু।
কি হ'ব?
আহি আছে
বৰুৱা
কওক।
কালি বুলি কোনে ভাবিছে?
আমাৰ শ্ৰীমন্ত শংকৰ।
নাই এইটো ষ্টপ বন্ধ কৰিলে হ'ল আৰু।
আহি যাব।
আহিব হৈছে।
মেম আপুনি আহিছে? নহয় আপুনি মেম, মই এইমাত্ৰ আগৰ লিংকটোকে এটা দিম।
আচ্ছা, পাৰ্টিচিপেণ্টখিনিক হেৰি কৰি এড্ৰেছ কৰি এবাৰ কৈ দিব লাগে নেকি যে আমি উইদিন 2-3 মিনিটছ আৰম্ভ কৰিছোঁ বুলি।
Very good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for joining us. Just give us a few more minutes, we'll get started. We'll be able to start in a few minutes. Please bear with us. Hello, I think Dhiraj sir joined us. Hello, Dhiraj Bora sir, have you joined us?
Yes, I have kept my video closed because my internet is a little unstable.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much for joining. Give us just one more. We are waiting for our third Vice Chancellor to join. She's having some technical issues. Maybe in 1 minute we will start, sir.
Sir, Deepika madam has joined in the meeting. Sir, please unmute yourself. Sir, please unmute.
Okay, good. Good.
Am I audible now, Ankur?
Yes, sir.
So
Yes.
Deepika ma'am has also joined. Okay, very good. All right.
Yes, yes, you are.
There, Deepika ma'am is there finally. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for joining. So, very good afternoon, everyone. We already got a bit delayed, so I will not waste any further time, and we'll get started with the Vice Chancellor's webinar, which is organized by Assam Downtown University on the topic higher education post COVID-19 challenges and opportunities. The abrupt changeover in the way we had been imparting education, all of a sudden students leaving the campus, a lot of chaotic situation actually happened initially, and the maximum sufferers were the students because they were very uncertain about their future. There were so many questions coming up, and to satisfy them, there had been so many webinars organized till now, so many discussions. What we felt was that the best people to tell us, the best people who can actually convince the students, make them realize what is going to happen next, are definitely the vice chancellors of the universities, because they are the key people who have been instrumental in designing the post-COVID-19 situation. So that's why Assam Downtown University decided to go ahead with this webinar, where we have invited 3 vice chancellors who have been instrumental in the education scenario of India and Assam as such. So we will move over to a discussion with them, getting to know their opinions, their insights, so that all stakeholders in the field of education, they sort of get a relief or a solace, at least to get to know what is going to happen next. Are we prepared for that? And what are the possibilities? What are the challenges? So I'm very happy to inform all the participants here. We have close to about 300 people online here now. I'm happy to inform you that we have invited vice chancellors of Assam Science and Technology University, of Srimanta Sankadev University of Health Sciences, and Assam Downtown University on a common platform here today to discuss about the education scenario post-COVID. Before we move over for the discussion, I would like to take the responsibility of introducing the eminent panelists who have joined us today. So let me start with Professor Dr. Dhiraj Bora, the Vice Chancellor of Assam Science and Technology University. Professor Bora is more known as a plasma physicist because he was actively involved in the plasma research scenario of India for more than 25 years now. Professor Bora has received his early education from Delhi College, Indore. Then he moved over to St. Stephen's College and finally received his postgraduate degree from the People's Friendship University of Moscow. He holds a PhD in physics from the Physical Research Laboratory of Ahmedabad. In the Indian Institute of Plasma Research in Gandhinagar, Dr. Bora was heading the RF Plasma Research Group. Dr. Bora has served as a member of the Indian delegation to the International Atomic Energy Agency and has also been honored with the Kamal Kumari Award in 2016 by the Kamal Kumari Foundation for the field of science and technology. He is now currently the Vice Chancellor of ASTU, and the people of Assam, we look forward a lot to his leadership in the field of science and technology in Assam. I want to convey my heart and to convey good wishes from the whole Assam Downtown University family to you. You're most welcome to this webinar today.
Thank you very much. And I'm honored that I have been associated. I got the opportunity to get associated with this extremely important webinar, which is being organized by Assam Downtown University. And for this, I would like to thank the Honorable Chancellor, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Assam Downtown University and the respected Dean, yourself, for inviting me to participate in this meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
So do I.
Now I would like to introduce the second panelist for today, Professor Dr. Deepika Deka, Vice Chancellor of Srimanta Sankar Deva University of Health Sciences. To introduce ma'am, it will be like it's a very, very illustrious career. If I have to keep on telling her, it will take the whole day off. So I'll try very briefly to give an introduction about ma'am. So prior to joining as a Vice Chancellor, she was the director of AIMS at Kalyani in West Bengal. She was chief of the maternal fetal medicine super specialty at AIMS, New Delhi. Professor, Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology at AIMS, New Delhi. She has successfully completed many trainings abroad, the US and London. A huge amount of experience to her credit. And apart from being a doctor, she had been actively involved in research and academics right throughout her career. And she has published many books. She has authored 5 books and about 50 book chapters. Sorry, I should say it is 60 book chapters. And ma'am has authored about 141 international publications and 111 national publications. Can you imagine that? Close to about 250 journal publications to her credit. She has successfully completed 12 funded research projects as the principal investigator and another 16 as the co-principal investigator. About 98 research scholars have completed their research work under her able guidance. And close to about 100 conference publications in international and national conferences. And the list of honors and awards, that's a big list. I think because of line restriction, I'll skip that now, ma'am. And again, I want to convey our good wishes from the university, our Assam Downtown University whole family to you. And we're so happy that you have accepted our invitation to join this webinar.
Thank you.
Most welcome. Now I will move over to our third panelist, our very own Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Amarjyoti Chaudhary, sir. And I have been getting this opportunity to introducing him so many times now. It feels really good. And I always feel myself honored to be working under his guidance at Assam Downtown University. Well, to talk about Professor Chaudhary, well, what can I say? An educationist, scientist, actor, reciter, playwright, novelist, and an excellent orator, all in one. And I keep saying that I think he's one person I met who has developed both sides of his brain equally well, excellently well. So, sir, prior to being the Vice Chancellor of Assam Downtown University, he was Vice Chancellor of Guwahati University, Pro-Vice Chancellor of Tezpur University, and for some time he was C.V. Raman Chair of Applied Physics, and also the Vice Chancellor at USTM in Meghalaya. Professor Chaudhary had an illustrious academic career throughout, right from topping the high school exams to completing his MSc in physics from Delhi University. He obtained his PhD from the prestigious University of Oxford. Numerous research publications to his credit, close to about 150 publications. And I feel really proud to say that it was in one of his publications, the term confocal microscopy was introduced together with his guide, Professor Shepard. And of course, the other side of his career as a cultural promoter. He has been a child actor. He did a number of movies, and of course his poems. We all love his poems, and we all love the way he recites them. So it's wonderful to have all the three illustrious people here today on a common platform. And I would now proceed further. So what I want to thank Professor Manjuri Chaudhary sir for initiating this whole webinar plan and also being present here today. For joining.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I guess Dr. Borua will continue now.
Yeah, I got disconnected actually. I'm back now. Yeah.
Okay.
So let us start this discussion now. It's a very, very important discussion that we all want to get started with. And so I'd like to first request Professor Dr. Dhiraj Bora sir to share his thoughts, his opinions on the tremendous change over in the way that education has been given out prior to COVID and post-COVID. We'd like to know your opinion as to the science and technology education scenario. What transformations came over, how you tackled the problems that came over, all your opinions, we'd love to hear. You can have about 10 to 12 minutes on this one, sir. Over to you now, sir.
It was, I think, unique epidemic that started sometime in the beginning of this year and then finally peaked around. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we are.
We
Okay.
can hear but cannot see.
Sir, we can hear you.
No,
We can hear you.
to get a wider bandwidth, I have stopped the video. And sometime in the middle of March, this peaked, and then the whole world came to a grinding halt when almost all the countries, all the economies were locked down. And slowly now we are coming back from this lockdown situation in different phases in different countries. Now, this has disrupted the whole education system, academics in the whole world, especially in our national scenario. All the schedules are basically all across the institutions due to this pandemic is completely disrupted. And we are forced to think of now design a different kind of scenario which we could hold on to and proceed slowly till we come back to a normal situation. However, in this period, we realized that till the medicines come out to take care of us under such viral situations, we know that there are two things we could do. That's the social distancing and personal hygiene, which could take care of us till we come with a proper medicine in this world. Now, because of this, the whole higher education was forced to go through a change. And now the students, they are in new paradigm. they have changed their whole way of looking at the education completely. Earlier, they were in some kind of a collective mode where they would sit in a classroom, interact with the teacher, interact with their classmates. And then in this kind of a social environment, they learn, they gain knowledge. But then all of a sudden, it so turned out that they were closed down into a room, in a room with 4 walls, and sitting in front of a screen, be it a laptop or be it a smartphone, and then listen to those same teachers and then try to understand the same kind of topics they were interacting earlier. There are no friends to interact with, nothing to discuss. And in this kind of a completely lonely situation, they came to a very different scenario. And this indirectly, knowingly or unknowingly, this gave them a kind of a stress which brought them into a very different kind of mental condition. So there was a realization that we need to be more resilient. We need to be mentally tough to face such a situation, learn the same things under a completely different scenario. So this is something very, very difficult for the students which they are trying to live with. Then comes the way we are trying to learn. So we have gone into a distant mode, online mode, where we try to interact with the students, basically through a system which varies from student to student. Some of them, they try to use this e-learning, so-called e-learning technology. They are trying to gain knowledge through these gadgets, which they become very dear to them. Now, with this transition, how have we done actually in Assam? If you look at it, if you look at the preparedness from the infrastructural point of view for a state like ours, it's really not very comfortable to say that 50% of the students actually don't have an access to a high-speed internet connection through which they could interact. Interactive e-learning can be continued with their teachers or strongly interact. So this is something which has really given a inequality among the students. You know, even Leo Tolstoy said that education is nothing, but it is many things in education. Basically talks of equality and freedom. So once you do not have the equality, it is very difficult to impart the same knowledge to all the students. In fact, 70% access the internet through probably their mobiles. And it is quite a difficult task to have an online examination in a fashion where you download the question paper, write it, and then scan it and upload it. You can imagine how long it will take for that boy to upload his answer sheet, which then goes to the examiner for checking. So these are realities we are facing right now with all of a sudden, this sudden introduction of this online education. And this is all happened because the government decided that we should not let the students lose a year in their academic career. So then we have to see now, how can we make this education in somehow balanced way to give them a pedestal from where they could take a jump and go to the next class. So it becomes extremely important for us to then think of the policies which need to be introduced for this kind of a e-learning system. We, first of all, need to have a roadmap for e-learning, basically, which will depend on the requirement of enhancement of the digital infrastructure which we have. Then we need to have targeted interventions. And of course, we need to ensure that the whole community participates in this kind of an exercise. This would probably then call for some kind of planning where we try to have a digital map of the state where we could identify which are the green zones, which are the zones where it is intermediate, orange zones, I would say, and some red zones where for the children, it is almost impossible to access online education. So under these circumstances, government must take the initiative to bring whatever digital capacity we have, we need to bring it to an optimum level. And for that, we, if necessary, we take the service providers, we need to take them to task as well. If we need to bring this system to optimum level. Now, not only this, we have many of the children who are trying to have this online education. They are at such a economic level, probably they cannot afford to have this kind of a smartphone as well. So government needs to think other ways of transmitting this, the education which we want to part to these students. We probably need to have access to the channels what we have, which we could preferentially book for different classes, different standards, and then rigorously try to bring in the syllabi to these channels and then try to part the education. Now, along with that, I hope you are hearing, we need to rope in, of course, the teachers' bodies. We need to bring in the student organizations, the citizens groups, and all the public who are willing to help to organize this kind of a system. And if necessary, even draft policies to have all these online studies to be implemented. Now, one good thing happened that during this lockdown was that we got a wake-up call from the environment, the environmental situation, the whole air around us, the pollution reduced, the ecological consciousness came in to us probably by seeing that if we can control some of our activities, if we go through a change, because the society has always evolved through changes. If we can go through change, then probably we can have the same facilities under different conditions. We know that the biodiversity and the most required essential commodity right now is the power, the energy we talk of to progress in our economic conditions. Now, these two are at loggerheads, actually, unless we bring in the energy in a different mode. We need to look for cleaner energy sources. We should try to reduce the carbon footprint. Therefore, we go over to renewable energy sources, which could still keep our environment clean, probably not to the extent that we saw the cleanliness during the lockdown period, but to an extent which we could then work on and make it better and better. Similarly, we can work on the biodiversity, try to bring back many of the practices which we had earlier in a way that we then once again bring in or reduce the greenhouse gas effect so that that affects positively into the environment. So these are many ways we could probably think of coming in after the lockdown period. Now, let me not tell too much in this session. I was told I should take about 10 to 12 minutes. It's probably already 10 to 12 minutes I have consumed. But I must tell you that education is empowerment only when it is inclusive. Otherwise, I don't think it serves any purpose to us. Therefore, we need to think that education, it is a matter of right to us and not of privilege. We need to remember that we have to take with us all the children forward in this hybrid mode of model we are talking of, that is face-to-face education in the future, along with some percentage of online education at the same time. In fact, just a couple of days back, there was a meeting where our AICT chairman told that the ideal combination would be probably 70-30 to start with, which we could slowly make probably 50-50 and then go over to an online mode of education. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your valuable insights. To you again with a few more other points to discuss. Am I audible, Ankur?
Yes, I can hear.
Yes, sir. Yes,
okay.
Sir.
You're audible, sir.
Yeah, okay. So now, since we got delayed, I will now move over to Professor Dr. Deepika Dayaka ma'am, get some insights into the medical education scenario as such, because we know social distancing is something it's very difficult to talk about when you're talking about medical education. So how has the change come over? What initiatives you had to take? We'd love to hear from you, Susan. I'm handing over the stage to you, ma'am.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. First of all, I would like to thank the administration, the vice chancellors, and the deans of Downtown University. Also, Professor Naren Dr, with whom we are very close, and giving me this opportunity to speak what's in my mind. So I see that the topic is challenges and opportunities. So I won't waste time on going to the introduction and other things which Professor Bora has already said. So I will go straight to my point because 10 minutes is very, very short. So I will speak from the medical point of view. So what are the challenges which medical education, higher education is facing? So as you rightly said, that when you talk about medicine or you talk about health, there is a lot of interaction. It cannot be done online. So that is the biggest challenge that we have. So the first thing is that for students and faculty, the interaction, how to connect with the students was the biggest challenge. So for medicine, it was not difficult because almost all the students of medical colleges, they have mobiles. But the problem is that in the university, we also have nursing, we have allied sciences, and some of the allied sciences students did not have the mobiles, the smartphones, or a laptop, desktop. So this challenge, we have to say that they're at home, the amount of money that is spent in a city, coming to the city, staying in a hostel, so that will actually counteract. And we have to buy, they have to have a smartphone, because I think that is the challenge which is going to be there post-COVID. Most of the education is going to be online. So they have to invest in one smartphone, not one for the whole family or something like that, but personally, because medical education, health education is very, very intensive. So that is the first challenge. Then next is the practicals. So we have a lot of practical problems, classes that have to be undertaken. And for this, there is no other way but to have certain amount of time, which is going to be at least about 4 to 6 weeks of face-to-face practical training. So that has to be challenged, that has to be we have to make a curriculum wherein the batches come in smaller groups. So there is physical distancing which can be managed. And postgraduates, it is not a problem, but for the undergraduate students, that is something which has. So the curriculum has to be framed in such a way that practical classes, the face-to-face interaction, that has to be done. It is. It goes without saying that without that, the students will be half-cooked, half-baked. So, and that's there. As for the theory classes also, we recently had meetings of the vice chancellors along with the advisor education, wherein what we have done is we are changing the we call it a truncated curriculum. So the curriculum is going to be divided into some part which is going to be must know, means the students have to know. That is the basis, the absolutely, that has to be taught face to face. They will even have to come to the classes for the theory classes. So that will be for about 1 or 2 months, depending upon the length of the course. The second group, which is the should know. The should know are the lesser important parts of the curriculum, which can be done online. And then comes the recent advances, which we call should know, which we call as may know part. So we divided the curriculum into must know, should know, and may know. So the may know part is for the students to read up. Because one challenge again of online is that how long is a student going to sit in front of a mobile or in front of a desktop? So it is not possible. The concentration, the time, even in a face-to-face class, we all know is not more than 45 minutes to 50 minutes. And after that, they cannot concentrate so much. So taking that psychological feature into mind, I mean, if you have the mobile classes online, then you really cannot concentrate for more than 2 or 3 hours at a stretch. So therefore, it is not possible to do the whole curriculum. You have to structure the curriculum into different parts, and then definitely the time of learning spent online is going to be much lesser than what you would have done otherwise in a face-to-face class. So it is something like distant education, which IGNOU and other universities are doing, wherein you do have a lot of distant learning exercises, plus face-to-face interaction. For medicine, this is very, very important, because we have to teach the students of medicine, of nursing, and homeopathy, allopathy, everybody, how to interact with a patient. So that needs absolutely that you have to face a patient, and that is going to be one of the biggest challenges, how to bring the young students. So they have to be taught about protection for themselves by wearing masks, as we all know, by keeping a safe distance. And initially, so the COVID hospitals have to be separate, and the other patients who are used, we interact with them for the medical education training. So those will be the non-COVID hospitals. So later on, we will have 2 types of hospitals, COVID and non-COVID, and with all the specialties in all these 2 sites. Because even any patient with COVID can become pregnant, can have appendicitis, can have diabetes. So therefore, their treatment in the different areas is going to be there. So doctors also will have to learn how to deal with the COVID patients, and therefore they have to be trained in that as well. So all these things are there. Now for the higher education comes the research. So that is also another field. So now the field of research is more going towards the latest relevant things, that is COVID. And I'm very, very happy to say that just last week, we have sanctioned 23 research projects from the university, which are COVID related. So they are going to be started, and we have had funds for that itself. So the field of research is going to change, and as we know that we do think about the latest research is the most common important topic which is going on. So COVID research is something which is really being done at a very rapid pace. We have research going on, especially on the epidemiology, on the comorbidities. Are these patients really at higher risk or not? How to do surveillance and many other aspects, field research as well, knowledge, attitude, and mental health. A lot of research is going on. There are 3 projects which are going to be covering what is the effect of this infection post-COVID on the mental health of people who have had the infection and people who were in the quarantine, and also in the general public. So various new things are coming up. Now, if I think about the opportunities, the opportunities also are vast. So one of the things is how to deal with this is an opportunity of a lifetime, honestly. So how to deal with an emergency, with a disaster like this is something which we will develop the minds of all the students. They are thinking now how to do this, how to do that. So that is there. Secondly, we have a large number of women who are into the higher education. And I myself have faced problems having to look after young children, having to look after the home, as well as doing duties. So when you're coming to this online classes, at least the one advantage is that you can be at home. Now we are sitting in the comfort of the home and doing this CMEs, it's online webinars. So this is one big advantage. We know that in USA, homeschooling was something which is coming up in a very big way. And especially because there's so much of shooting and everything, there are a lot of Indians also who are resorting to homeschooling for their children. And the children who do homeschooling are not lesser than the children who go to regular schools. In fact, they are doing very, very well. So maybe this is an opportunity for us to actually revolutionize our education system to see how we can cope best and maybe even do better than what we were doing. Certainly, there would be different lacuna, but this is a very good way by which we can actually exercise our brains and think about what we can do, which is going to make our children, our students learn much better. So I think I have covered quite a lot of what I had to say, and I think my 10 minutes is up. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, and we can interact much more later.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your insights. It's wonderful. And you were so true that the current students got an opportunity of a lifetime, actually. And we as teachers also got an opportunity to abruptly change the way we had been teaching. And the transition had been quite smooth. It was not difficult for the teachers as well as the students to adjust to this abrupt change. And we have to live with COVID, like you said. Of course, COVID hospitals should be there for it. And thank you, ma'am. And now I will move over to Professor Amarjyoti Chaudhary, sir, for his thoughts and his opinions and his experiences on the post-COVID situation. Over to you now, sir. Sir, your microphone is muted.
Okay, can you hear me now? Do you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Yes, we can, sir.
Yes.
So it's my proud privilege to welcome the Vice Chancellor of Assam Science and Technology University, my good friend, Dr. Dhiraj Bora, with whom I had the privilege of studying together in our earlier classes up to, I guess, 6 or 7. And then he left for the schooling in other places. And then we also share a lot of commonness with our the other Vice Chancellor, namely Dr. Deepika Deka, with whom we have shared in many meetings on research, and both of them, fortunately, Dr. Dhiraj Bora and Dr. Deepika Deka are bright examples of leaders in research. So it was very nice listening to them. And both of them have very rightly pointed out how a blended system of learning has developed during the post-COVID period, or during the period of the COVID, and slowly as we go into the post-COVID era. And there, while talking about the blended system, we have seen some difficulties are always there, some disadvantages are always there. But one specific advantage that we have definitely seen is that rarely do you find the 3 vice chancellors can meet. Normally, vice chancellors are very busy bees, and it is very difficult to get them on a single platform. But these are the online systems that have helped us to get together, and which are really the result of the COVID situation. And so it's a plus point of this period. I would say, and I would request that both the vice chancellors and also other vice chancellors to think about a period of cooperation in both teaching learning as well as in research in the future area, because now online digital systems have made our lives easier so that we can work together. So this is my first appeal so that we can work together in a spirit of cooperation. Both of them have pointed out on the digital divide that that online system have brought in. Digital divide because many students have not been able to avail of smartphones or good net connectivity, and because of that they have suffered. So there's a digital divide. But then the way is to look forward so that we can have a situation where the students will be provided with digital systems or digital cellular or laptop systems with which they can go into an online system. And I'm very pleased and very happy to see in today's papers that Government of India has already planned to equip various schools and colleges with digital devices so that online systems or the blended system becomes a part of their life. In fact, we have seen that the blended system is a better system. It's a better system because if both online teaching and the classroom teaching can be made to go together, and then it will be a very wonderful way of teaching, where we can bring in the outside world to the inside of the four walls of our classrooms. Then, if we think about what is the purpose of education, there are twofold outcomes we look into. One is the readiness for the present, that is, equip the students so with the knowledge already available, and the other one is the future readiness, that is, anticipate future and do research and try to grasp various aspects of future. Now, when we talk about future readiness, we have to anticipate future, as we have said, and the teaching learning systems should be such that it provides a thinking man, that it develops a thinking man in the students. We have seen that statue of Auguste Rodin, which is called the thinker, Le Penseur, and that is precisely the thing, that there would be always troubles and difficulties and hazards in life, but then how to overcome them and how to anticipate the future of disasters that that may face us in future, and accordingly take steps. So if we think about our education, if we think that blended system is going to stay, one of the difficulty is that the psychology of the students, because they feel alone while in the online system. So we need more psychologists, more workers in the field of mental health, and that is why it shows us that in future, those who care to study mental health and those who are in this line of psychology, psychiatry, they will be in certainly in demand. We also know that healthcare system is bound to get a lift because many jobs are to be created in this sector. And so there will be, if we anticipate the future, it has been said, or very rightly said, that the health sector, like IT sector was once the sector which gobbled up all the jobs. Now, health sector is going to be something similar to that. So there will be definitely job demands in this area. And so students should be well prepared. So if we anticipate the future, what are the areas where courses will be more in demand? Health sector demands definitely will increase. Similarly, there will be increase in demands for data scientists. Why data scientists? Because data scientists are the scientists who digs into data and then can project the future. For example, when COVID was happening, what will be the situation? What will be the situation one month after? What will be the situation in 4 or 5 months after? These situations are to be gradually built, and only the data scientists, and together with the knowledge of both health sector and data science, they can project this future. So this also happens in other areas. Similarly, this area of data mining and artificial intelligence has become very important. So these are some of the areas students can take you, because they keep on asking me what are the areas where there will be job demands, so that we study these courses. So if you think about it, these are the courses that are the courses in future, and these are going to be the courses in future. And another most important thing is the research. And research has to be connected to the immediate situations, to our anticipation of the future hazards, for example, COVID-19. And I am very glad that the Srimanta Sankardeva University of Health Sciences has been able to grapple this situation by getting a number of projects in the COVID area. And we sincerely hope that they would also provide that this university, this leader of the university in medical sciences, would also provide ways to us, universities like Assam Downtown University, and handhold, and so that we can get together in the field of research with more emphasis, with more determination, more dedication and sincerity. This is one more appeal that I would like to make, especially to them. We also know that ASTU has been leading the research scenario by providing research grants to students, and we do not want immediately student grants, but then if in technological area there could be cooperation in research, that will be to the advantage of the people of Assam and the people of the region, people of the and the entire nation. And that is why I would appeal to Vice Chancellor of ASTU also to think about cooperation and collaboration in the field of research. So these are some of the things. And if we think about syllabus, already our Vice Chancellor of Srimanta Sankardeva University of Health Sciences has indicated that in future, syllabus will be grouped into three categories possibly. One is the core learning or must know things. And the other is somewhat what we call should learning, or the peripheral learning. And also another portion, which is self-learning. These are the different portions that we need to pick up and identify in the syllabus itself, while approving the syllabus in the academic council or other approving councils of the university, so that we can think about it, of these in future. Self-learning is very important, and self-learning should find a prominent place in our thinking, because when we go to postgraduate sectors, especially, self-learning becomes very, very important, because if we facilitate self-learning, that will help them in future. How do we adapt in future? If we want to be meaningful in future, we have to continuously self-learn. So self-learning needs to be highlighted and promoted in various categories, and post-COVID situation also highlighted the situation that indeed self-learning should be a part of the syllabus, and there must be that core learning area. That core learning should also be marked out, and specially marked out so that students can feel at the beginning. So these are the areas, and then there should also be what we call a window, what we call a lookout window or lookout window learning. That is the area where we anticipate the future in that part of the discipline. Suppose we are studying data mining. What is the future of data mining? Where it is going to be applied, and what are the areas where it should be applied? These are some of the areas that we should find place in our syllabus so that it becomes more meaningful. And these were some of the thoughts that have already been provided by the earlier two vice chancellors. I have more or less summarized the system, and I hope that in future, as I said just before, that our system should be able to be such that it provides a thinking man inside us, a dreaming man, an anticipating man, a researching man inside us. That will be the best thing that will emerge from the post-COVID situation. In fact, classroom learning was good, and we had perfected in over the years, but then online systems have added to it. And now, with the addition of all these systems, I hope that it will be integrated system. It will be integrated, fully integrated into the course area. I still remember when we were studying in our class 5, class 6 in an institution called Manik Chandra Mudra Middle English School, where Dr. Dhiraj Bora also studied for some time. And there was a teacher who once brought a small gramophone to a school, to a classroom. And he told us that, I still distinctly remember his words, that you should be the members of a global world, that he should be the member of the world, not only of one place. That's why I want you to hear this piece. He played a piece of music which was called Blue Danube. And why did he play it? Because at that time he was teaching us Budapest, the city of Budapest, through which the Blue Danube flowed. And Johann Strauss has composed a piece of music, and this dhoti-clad teacher of ours had the foresight to bring that small gramophone to us, and it sort of electrified the atmosphere, so much so that I still remember. Whenever I think of the entire school education, I think this was one of the most memorable days when science and technology was properly integrated into the study. I want our teachers to pursue this line, where the devices are not mere aids, but they are integrated into the system, so that we develop a total holistic system of thinking, teaching, and learning. This is my appeal to our fellow teachers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. It seems that Dr. Sunandan Barua, sir, is having some problem with his connect.
Okay.
So I'll try to take forward the proceedings.
Please do. Please do.
Let me introduce myself first. I'm Nitul Jyoti Das. I'm the Deputy Registrar Academic in Assam Downtown University. So moving forward, we will definitely look forward for a discussion among our panelists regarding a very important topic, that is examinations. Because during this time of COVID-19 pandemic, it has been seen that the institutions are not being able to decide on to how to proceed for the examinations. Even the Ministry of HRD Ministry and UGC is also having certain had even given a guideline on that, but it seems that the guideline implementation of that guideline is somewhat problematic for the institutions, as it is a suggestive guideline, and there are 2-3 ways and means which can be adopted. Therefore, I would request our panelists to have a discussion on this, how they are planning about it. So at first, let me go to Professor Dr. Dhiraj Bora sir to have an opinion on this, how they would go ahead and do the examinations. Probably they're thinking of it.
Yes, I think you are right that even UGC is changing their mind quite often. Every fifth day, we get a circular saying that it is slightly different than the other one. But as you rightly said, that some of those guidelines, what they have suggested, are not very, they are difficult to implement, actually. So what we have done in ASTU, that is Assam Science and Technology University, we had a round of meeting with all our, as you know, we are affiliating universities. So with all the principals and one of them happens to be the director technical education Assam. So all of us, we have sat quite a few times discussing how is it that it will be nice to have all the students sailing through to the next semester. So in that, what we decided, we had made three plans: Plan A, Plan B, Plan C. Now, Plan A was online, which we did a lot of survey, and then we found out that complete online examination is not possible under the present situation what we have in our state. With our colleges in far interior places is almost impossible. Then we came to the plan B, in which we said that we divide the whole thing into two groups. One is the final semester or the final year students or the final 8th semester students for technology, and rest of it. For the last semester students, they must go through an examination. And for that, what we thought is that if we need to have a face-to-face examination, there are restrictions. But uh, if we want to do it, how do we do? First thing we have to do is that we need to still maintain the social distancing. Therefore, we will have to make them into groups. Now, if we have examination, which is slightly, as you said, that the syllabi in future will be broken up into the three most essential learning, what you must do, then the desirable, then the other part which you need to read yourself. So therefore, we thought that we will have a question paper which will be shortened and reduced in time as well. And since probably some of the things which are already printed, made ready, all these question papers, therefore we thought that we will probably give them more options, keeping in view that last 3 months they have gone through a horrid time and they have tried their best to learn things through online mode, which is very new to them. So we will give them more choices and make the question paper maybe for 2 hours, and you take only 50 marks examination. And left are the practicals and the project, which they have to do. Now, the project, in some cases, they had performed more or less the whole project, and some parts were left. So that can be reported. I mean, you write the report, and then a very integral part of the project is the viva, what you have. That you could still have in today's situation, because it is basically viva is online. So that will be done. Now, only thing the practicals. Some of the practicals they have not finished. Therefore, the examination, the scores for practicals, how do we bring it in? As Madam Professor Deka was telling, that we have already said that whenever we have the exam, we would need at least 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks before that, so that the students, whatever they have tried to learn through online, they will have questions, so that we have kind of tutorials where students sit and thrash out the difficulties what they have, so that they are ready for the theory exam, and they do some of the main practical exams, which some of the practicals which they need to do, without which, I mean, engineer will not be called an engineer. That kind of a situation has come up. So once they do these two things, then we can stitch this whole thing and then try to give them the promotion, or try to give them the degree after the final semester. Now, for the rest of the group, which is for engineering 7th and downwards, and the others in sciences 3rd year and below, and etc., etc. So for them, what we have told already, we do this continuous evaluation throughout the semester. So we have the continuous evaluation scores. Then we do take an internal exam, which is taken by the colleges themselves. So they have already tried to do it in different ways in different colleges, even in online exams they have had on the online material what they have read. And from that, they collect the scores, to put it together, and then send it to the university, from where I think we take about 30 marks or something like that. And so we will take a portion of that and add it to this to basically push them. We will not have a theory exam for those we have taught, and we will put them to the next semester. And once the next semester everything settles down, we have a normal situation, then we may take the exam in some of the subjects where it is extremely essential. Otherwise, they go ahead. However, those who have the so-called back, the re-examination will be done for those in the right way, the way we do it always. So this is the kind of planning we have. However, we are waiting for the internal all exams, all the scores to come from the colleges, and the UGC guideline, along with, I heard our Honorable Education Minister in one of the proceeding probably, he said that after UGC and MHRD gives their dictum, then along with that, Assam government gives their so-called under uh, the disaster management plan, some of the things which they will include. So putting all these things together, we hope to announce the kind of exams we'll have very soon, because some of our final year students, actually, they have their offers in their hand, but then to go out and join either the industry or higher studies into IIM, etc. In fact, today only I got a mail from one of our girl students that she needs to tell by 15th her when will her exams be, at least that, so that she can join into IIM, one of the IIMs in the country. So this is how we are trying to give them all the support what they need in this really a difficult time for the students. So this is one way we will try to handle the exams.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Maybe Dekha ma'am would like to add something from her side.
Yes. So, in fact, you will be happy to know that I think we were the first ones in the state to even organize examinations. In fact, we had the postgraduate examinations. We started on the 20th of June. So because the postgraduate students are doing duties and there are not too many of them, so that was not very difficult. But the problem was that we normally, we used to set our question papers. So getting the question papers printed was a problem. But I devised a very interesting technique, and as I'm also the controller of the exams right now, we don't have. So we printed it, typed it ourselves, and half an hour before the examination, we sent the question papers to all the centers, all the medical colleges by email. So that really made it so simple. And if there was any problem, then we even sent it by WhatsApp. We had it all ready. But all the emails, despite the problems with network, it was possible, and the theory exams ran absolutely very smoothly. Unfortunately, the practical examinations were supposed to be held uh, now, but because of the lockdown, we could not have it. For the medical profession, we need patients. So we need patients for whom examinations are required. And as patients were not really getting admitted, and secondly, it was difficult for the external examiners to come. That was a problem. Now, UGC has laid down minimum guidelines, which we are following. So the problem was getting external examiners for the practical viva. So what we had got permission that we could take external examiners from within the city, from different colleges, or even from people who had just retired or left. So they would have come as external examiners. And in some specialities where they do not have any specialist in the city, we could have got from outside, and they would have done the examinations by Skype. So that was also permitted by the UGC. So considering all this, it was not a very difficult problem to organize examinations of the medical universities. The problem is with the undergraduates because there are so many of them. Undergraduate students are too many. But for the final year MBBS, we are going to have the examinations because they are doing COVID duties, and so their examinations are coming. But as soon as the lockdown is over, we will be holding their exams. It was supposed to be from the 2nd of July, so we have just postponed. Now, the other exam that we have to think about is the assessments. All the students who have to be promoted from one semester to the other. So how to take the assessments? So that also we designed. We thought that we can have online questions, and at the same time, theory long questions also would be given, and the questions would be sent by WhatsApp or by mail, and the reply had to be given by email within a specified time. They cannot take whole day or 2 days or 3 days. So as soon as the examination is over, the required time is over, they have to send back the questions within the next half an hour. And the ones whom we do not receive in the next half an hour, they will be considered as absent from the examinations. So internal assessment marks are given on the basis of these small examinations, small tests, which we are holding regularly after every item is taught. Every system, like supposing we are teaching them respiratory system or we're teaching them gastrointestinal system. Now, after that system is over, then we have a small test. So all these tests, the marks are going to be kept and will be calculated for the internal assessment. For in the medical profession, the internal assessment marks are very, very important because we need to give an all-round development, personality development as well of the student, along with what they do in the final exams. So we have these three components: the internal assessments, then we have the semester examinations, which are not going to be perfect the way we like it to be, but we have to compromise on some things. And of course, the final examinations, they are being conducted. And as I said, we have already done the PG examination theory. We are waiting for the lockdown to finish. And after the 12th of July, we are going to be having the practical examinations and the Viva within a week. And as for the MBBS also, we will be doing that for the final year students. And the others, we will wait for some time, and then we will think about how we are going to conduct the examinations. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. It's wonderful to know that your university is all prepared for handling the examinations. It's wonderful. And Assam Downtown University also has been working day and night. A big team has been working on getting the things ready for the exams. So maybe Professor Majuri Chaudhary sir will just give a gist of how we are also planning for the exams.
Yeah, I would just say that it is more or less in line with what Dr. Bora has said or Dr. Mrs. Deka has said. We are following more or less in the same pattern, but we were going to we thought that we will hold the online examination for the final semester students from 1st of July, and all preparations were done. But because of, again, for the lockdown, we had to postpone it. And we are waiting UGC instruction. And as for the other semesters, we are prepared. We are fully prepared for either going for full examination or also through internal examination and previous semester marks, whatever the UGC decides. And the moment it arrives that we are in receipt of the UGC instructions, we will go ahead with this. So I would say that our system is also more, and the practicals and other things are in more or less in line with what Dr. Bora suggested or Dr. Deka suggested.
Thank you so much,
Over
sir.
to-
We
yeah.
actually exceeded much more time than we had planned. Yeah, but there are many questions that have come up, but I don't know if we can really move to questions, or shall we just take one question for each one of you?
I suggest that there should be one question each for both the vice chancellors from who are our guests.
Yeah, there are many
Yes.
questions. I'm picking one for Dr. Deka, ma'am. This is from Dr. Biplab Dey. He has asked how far it is justified that the final semester or final year students are allowed to go out with incomplete curriculum, especially when these students who will pursue their career as healthcare professionals. So yeah, I think he's wondering for this current situation, the semester that is going to complete, what do you feel that will they go out without getting the complete requisite knowledge or education that they are supposed to get?
No, see, we will not compromise on the curriculum. We cannot compromise on that. See, if you talk about medical education, then the syllabus, if you want to expand, is going to go on and on and on. So we have to see what is totally, absolutely required. A patient should not die. That would be the must know. Then the other things which you have to come to a diagnosis. So we will not, certainly not send a half-baked doctor. That person has to know. But this is higher education, and a lot of chapters and other journals, we expect that the students should read themselves. So the amount of reading is totally is beyond any horizons. They have to read and read and read. So they have to do self-learning, as we just discussed. So there are a lot of things. So once the syllabus is there in the book, in our guidelines, you see, you have the syllabus given to all the students. So we have to see that they are filled. We cannot compromise with giving them half the syllabus. And there's no question of anything like half a syllabus or less. The curriculum is to be full by doing the online classes, the regular classes. Fortunately, we were having regular classes till about 2-3 months back. So it's just a matter of this 2-3 months that online classes are going on, and subsequently the students have to do self-reading. And if there are any problems, then the faculty are always there to are available on phone, on email, to clear any doubts that there are. And as I said, we are going to be having some face-to-face classroom classes as well, which is going to be anything between 1 to 1.5 months, wherein we might start from morning 8 o'clock to evening 8 o'clock and clear out all the doubts. We are going to have students coming and staying in the hostels for 2 months each batch. So when one batch is in the hostel, because of the problem of the hostels, or most of our students are staying in the hostels, problem of the toilets, of the kitchen, taking all this physical distancing into consideration, we have to think about that. So in that 2 months, the whole course will have to be condensed the working hours, the teaching hours will be very much increased, and we will be working on Saturdays as well as Sundays. And the students, the faculty will always be there for any clearance of doubts. I hope this answers this question.
I'm sure it does. Thank you, ma'am. Now I'll pick up one question for Professor Bora, sir. This is from Dr. Arnav Bormudoy. Since the socio-economic background of many university students are varied across the country, what concrete decisions the government is undertaking an inclusive learning environment for the outliers due to the economic situation? There are many students who are not yet within the coverage of the internet across the country, and many have to struggle for a laptop or a smartphone. How long we have to wait to bring those students within the bigger umbrella of this inclusive education?
That's a good question. Under today's situation, we know we have done that survey. Actually, we have set up a student advisory cell in each of the colleges, through which we are trying to, this is especially for getting information about these particular aspects, whether what is the kind of availability they have for, let's say, internet or a smartphone or a laptop or a computer, PC, etc. And we are, in fact, in the process of making a complete tabulation in which we will know the areas, as I had told, that you basically make 3 zones, that is the green, orange, and red. Then we concentrate in that zone and try to take help of. We have this, I don't exactly recall, I think Amar will know that. We have this Aryabhatta science centers in,
Right.
yes, in many of the most of the districts. So what we are trying to see, if we can take the help, because those are very well equipped. They have the internet, they have the other video conferencing facility, etc. So we are trying to see if we can take the help of these this organization and utilize their facilities for some of those students who cannot just afford to have any of the requirements which we need for that few 20% of the online education we are talking of. And this is one of the main reasons why we are actually not thinking of having online exams at all, even MCQ kind of exams, or take these long essay type questions where you give the question paper through email, you download it, start writing, you write normal exam, then scan it and send it back. But in those areas, situations are such that we cannot do that. Therefore, right now, immediately, we are trying to have this kind of a picture which will tell us that in next couple of few months, how we will be able to augment our facilities with the help of these other resources we are trying to get from other agencies, so that some of these students would actually go ahead along with the others who are there. So we tried actually taking this statistics, and we found that almost about 20% of our students cannot avail these regularly, these facilities. Therefore, we are trying to do that. And the other one is that we have requested people, like even in IIT Bombay, you must have read very recently, once they decided that they will go online this whole year, and even after pumping in 5 crores of rupees, they have requested people if they could give their slightly old versions of the smartphones and other things so that they could help the students who are little underprivileged. So we have actually done the same thing already quite some time back to our patrons to see if we can get some of these gadgets, instruments to give it to the most needy ones. So this is our immediate plan, immediate strategy with which we are trying to meet this deadline. Because, you know, for what I would say is that for the engineering people, this actually came online distance learning. It came as an emergency response, actually, for the technical education and skill development. And it is not a rapid and a permanent migration of programs. For that, it will take quite some time, actually. So, keeping that in mind, we are trying to augment our facilities the way we can, maximum, and bridge the gap of this digital divide.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. There's one more question. Maybe I can just quickly pick up if Chaudhary sir would like to comment on that. This is from Dr. Kankana Dr. Fukon. She says, I want to know the feasibility of taking practical examination online, specifically for the paramedical students who will be later dealing with patients. So how feasible will it be to take the practicals online?
I would leave it to Dr. Deepika Dekas. She would be the most fit person to answer this.
Ma'am, can you comment on this?
It can be partly online, but there has to be a practical component. We cannot escape that. Otherwise, the question that came in first, they will be half baked. Unless you have a face-to-face interaction with the student, taking all the precautions, COVID precautions, it won't be proper. We must have some amount of the practical exam. In fact, the whole practical examination has to be face-to-face. We have to make preparations for that. We have a lesser students coming every day, and we have to modify the examination pattern, but we cannot make it totally online. I don't think it can be even partially online. We are discussing about how to do it. It has to be practical face to face.
Correct, definitely. Thank you, ma'am. So we will close with one last question. I think Professor Chaudhary sir can say this maybe. This is from Dr. Rajiv Sharma. He wrote a long question, but I'll just briefly say what he wants to know is the open book system going to be the next examination system?
Look, all these are immediate response. These responses have to come because of the specific COVID situations, and we hope that situations will improve and actual physical examinations will be possible. And yes, some part of it may be open book questions, but not fully. That is the type of things that we look forward to in future. So open book system, fully open book system, perhaps not is a very good idea. It should be a connection of, it should be a blended examination system, I would say.
Right, sir. So it's almost 1.5 hours of intensive discussions on a very, very important topic, and there's a lot of takeaway. I'm sure everybody benefited from this wonderful discourse. But Bora sir, is it possible for you to just come, put on your camera for a few minutes for everybody to see your face once?
Oh,
yes, that would be nice. That would be nice.
Yes, that's
me.
That
is great.
Thank you so much, sir.
I would like to tell here how important the face is. I was in an organization where we were interviewing people from different countries, and this was housed in south of France. So we realized that they had they had an advantage over the Asians. Then what we did, because they used to come for face-to-face interview, emotion is extremely important, which the Asian people, they were in the online mode, so you cannot understand except listening to them. So then we changed the whole system. In fact, today in that international organization, everybody has to give the interview through online interaction. Even if the person is next door, he sits in a different room, and then we have the interaction. And it's very important that the emotion which comes. That is why I say that although for humanities, let's say English literature and other things, online, you feel that is very easy to teach. But I think in those subjects, emotion plays an extremely important role. And there again, they are at a disadvantage if you do the online teaching. That's my personal last word for this webinar.
Great.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And personally, I've already extended your time. Thank you so much for giving your valuable time, your insights, your opinions. And we, as citizens of Assam, would like to thank all of you for taking such big steps as far as higher education in the state is concerned. And we would love to keep on interacting with you, knowing more from you, what changes are going to happen, how it's going to happen. And of course, all the universities are also promoting research in the area of COVID. It's wonderful to know that Sanjadev University has already given out a number of projects on that one. I know ASU is also giving out a lot of projects. And in fact, sir, I also have a couple of projects with ASU. And
That's great.
thank you for your support for the research in the yeah, this with one of my students in some engineering courses. He's a faculty there, my PhD student. And thank you so much for your valuable time. And I personally would like to thank you all from the whole Assam Downtown University family. We will remember all the important things that we had discussed today, and this will be a guideline for us, for all academicians, for all stakeholders. Thank you so much, and we really appreciate your time. God bless you all.
Thank you.